How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and today we're taking a look at the T77. I want to thank Wargaming for allowing me the opportunity to review this tank by gifting it to me in-game. We're going to basically go over what's good about it, what's bad about it, and then I'm going to show you a gameplay as to how to play it in-game, and the sort of things you can expect when you get your hands on this as part of the Season Pass, or if you decide to pick it up early by, progressing levels, or if you just want to buy it outright in the store. Now, to begin with, the kind of equipment that you want on this tank are the advanced optics to increase that vision range, or you could equally go with advanced concealment, which is going to reduce your detectability by any other tank in the game. But I just thought the 10% view range buff would just mean that I can get a little more spotting to go up on my marks, and anything like that is always greatly appreciated in a tank like this. Additionally, I went with ventilation, but one good thing you could potentially go for, if you really want a spotting build, you could go for advanced optics and advanced concealment, but for me personally, I wanted that 5% buff to DPM and also anything else that you can possibly get on the tank. It does boost the vision range slightly by a very minuscule amount, but taking those little buffs everywhere is always my best kind of choice in this one as well. Since there aren't that many choices of equipment, it can't get a gun rammer or any loading time buff because it is an autoloader and they don't have that in any equipment slot. And then finally, I picked the gun stabilizer. This just basically boosts accuracy by 20%, which is massive. I think that if you're in pretty much any tank, you want the gun stabilizer if it's allowable on that tank. And that's definitely one that I wanted on this, because in an autoloader, you want as best accuracy, especially when you're firing and it blooms out. You want it to return to the max, accuracy before you shoot again, so necessarily waiting a little bit more can be beneficial, but it's kind of up to you whether you want the ventilation or you could potentially go for the advanced gun laying drive, but for me, I'd rather get the ventilation. In terms of a crew, you can go for various different builds in this tank. It's very versatile, but for me personally, I've gone with rapid loading, of course, to get that DPM up as much as possible because it is shocking, and then I went with steady aim, increase that accuracy once again. I went with camo expertise, muffled shot and green thumb, only because this is my light tank build pretty much. And then I went with situational awareness, sixth sense obviously, because you need that in pretty much every single crew you have. So yeah, really key perk right there in sixth sense. Should have that on every tank you play and every commander. And then run a gun to increase that accuracy again. If I was going to respec this one for specifics in the T77, I should note that you could maybe do with safe stowage, because the ammo rack seems to get hit every single time you get hit through the front of this tank, which is absolutely annoying as hell. And yeah, you're going to have to use those premium repair kits because it does get taken out quite a few times. As far as anything else, you could go with track mechanic. That's going to increase your repair speed since it has got quite big tracks. It is the typical American tracks, so you really do need to put that on if I was going to respec my crew, but obviously I use this crew in a different variety of American tanks, so yeah, personally I would put track mechanic on this one if you were just going to play this or it's your heavy tank crew. Other notable things you could use, I think that's pretty much everything. Maybe you'd want to go with some accuracy like snapshot, just to improve that accuracy a little bit more, because it is a bit derpy sometimes, and yeah, having the most accuracy on an autoloader is always really good, because you want to be putting out that damage really quick and then getting back in cover. As far as the armor profile goes for this tank, we will have a look just in a second. Right now, the armour is pretty weak and you cannot really rely on it very much. You're going to get penned through the front very easily. Those cheeks on the tank that you can see that are like the lighter yellow colour or slash pale green are really vulnerable, and that's the weak spot that you want to be aiming at. Additionally, the lower plate is pretty weak on the tank, so you can pretty much get penned every time through there by every single tank in the game, and that is pretty much the armour. It doesn't really have any, and yeah, you've got to kind of rely on dealing more damage in your clip to them than you take in any engagement that you go in. Always wait for them to fire and then pull around to put your shots in. But other than that, there is not really much to talk about on the armour of this tank. You can't really do very much with it in terms of bouncing. There's not much point in angling because it really just doesn't have armour. Now we'll get into some gameplay right now for you guys to have a look at, and for me to kind of talk over how I would play this tank and what you can do in games and really have a good game overall. So the game clip we have for this tank is on Mines. It's a tier 8 game overall. I think we get around 5k damage, but you'll see at the end of the game exactly how much we done. We're going to have a look at what sort of areas you want to take this tank and really what the best things are about it. The key thing is obviously using the auto-loading mechanic. It does get that really quick, 4 seconds to do 1080 damage in total, which is really good. You're going to be looking at around 1000 damage with the low rolls that you're more likely to get, so yeah, you can really push out a lot of damage really quickly in this tank. So we've decided using the mobility of this tank. You know, on average you'll probably be going 45 kilometers an hour forward, which is really nice. You'll be able to move up quickly, you'll be able to get into positions. It's similar to like a medium tank, I guess, and the armor profile is a little bit like a medium in terms of you'll be able to bounce a few shots but not very many. So yeah, it really is like a medium, but with that autoloader. I wouldn't really call it a traditional heavy tank, and you definitely don't want to be playing it up close and personal with other heavies at the tier unless you really have to. Now you'll see us hit this CS52, that's the other season pass tank, and you can see right here exactly what we're doing against this King Tiger. You know, we can hit him twice within a like 2-second period and take away 650 of his hit points really quickly. So that's something you want to be doing. You want to literally poke around the corner, deal your shots of damage and then pull back. Don't get into an engagement where there's 3 or 4 tanks. Certainly don't come out around the corner to deal 1000 damage and take all of your hit points in return. You want to be trading 1 for 1 or like 3 for 1 in as much opportunities as you can. The one problem I do have with this tank that kind of makes it a little bit balanced in my opinion is because of the reload. You do have to wait with all of the perks possible to increase reload time. It does take 31 seconds to fully reload, which is a long time considering you on average do 900 damage. You're not really going to be able to have super high damage games unless the games last long, which recently they haven't been lasting too long, and you really need to be kind of an aggressive player in this. Sometimes you have to know when to progress and also when to retreat, because you do have that mobility to be able to do that. A lot of the time it's about placing yourself in a situation where you know you can get a lot of damage as well as focus on the tanks that you need to. Now you'll see us here, whoever wins the hill on Mines tends to win the game. It's just such a superior position on the map, and you can really use the gun depression on this tank that it gets. Although it is a bit odd, it's not the best gun depression tank in the game because you're quite long, you're quite big, and to be able to use it on a ridgeline you have to put a lot of your hull over, which means that the angle at which you can look down is pretty poor. So yeah, it's a bit of a false kind of statistic, I guess. So that's something you need to keep in mind. You can't just use ridge lines in this thing because it is so long and so big that you know you're still propped up in the air when you try and use your gun depression. So you'll see that Mines is pretty much won because we've taken the hill. There's no contesting coming on at this hill, and you can pretty much see everyone on the entire map from this position. And realistically, those who know how to play the hill correctly, you don't want to be coming down off of it after you've won it really, unless you are trying to mop up some damage at the late game, because it is such a defensible position. Anyone has to progress onto you, they have to come out in an open field, and yeah, you can have some ridiculous games. And here you go, here's what this thing can do. You see that J Panther was on full health, not anymore. We've taken him out completely from the game, and that's the kind of mechanic that I'm not so keen on. I don't like the fact that so many of these tanks have the ability to just remove someone's hit points from full health, where, you know, that guy made one mistake in one game which cost him his whole tank's hit points, which is really, really unfortunate for him. And although this tank isn't necessarily overpowered, it is certainly broken. And it can be really bad in situations, to be honest, where, you know, you're on your reload and also where you've not managed to be aggressive enough, or where you've not understood when you need to push and stuff like that. The situational awareness that you need for this tank is quite good, and I expect experienced players can have a lot better games in this than new players, and that's something you'll need to keep an eye on. Do I think it's a bad tank? No, I certainly don't think it's terrible, but I don't think it's as good as what people might think it might be when they first pick it up, or if you manage to get it in the season pass. But yeah, I think that you need to be aware of that. It certainly is a bit broken though when you can unload your full clip of damage into someone, especially tier 7s. They really don't have a chance, to be honest, because 9 times out of 10 the alpha damage of your 3 shots, if you pen them, will be more than the hit points of their tank. So yeah, do I think that it's a balanced mechanic? Probably not, but are we going to complain? No, because I have picked it up, and you know, I do enjoy these sort of tanks. I have played the T77 Heavy, a very, very similar tank at tier 10, and 3 mark that, which I found really, really rewarding. It's one of my first it was my first ever tier 10 that I got on my account, and it was quite nice to 3 mark it eventually. I got up to like 94.98% once, and then got artilleried twice in a row, one-shot artied. Yeah, wasn't so fun, but you know, you have to live and you learn. And then finally we picked up the 3rd mark in it. But this game we managed to get 6 kills, 5,385 damage and 1950 XP. We'll look at the post-game stats in just a second. So here we are on the post-game stats. You can see we picked up 165,000 silver. That's without operation. 6,000 XP for the daily double. We managed to take out 6 enemy tanks. We did 95 assistance damage, not a lot there, but 5,400 damage in total. Only a first class badge for 1950 base XP, which is quite surprising. I was actually quite surprised by that. Managed to pick up that Top Gun, High Caliber, Bruiser, Fire for Effect, Sharpshooter. We got also a pattern medal, I believe, or something like that, for taking out a certain amount of the tanks on the enemy team. But you can see, really, really good game, and you can certainly have some really good games in this tank. You just have to survive long enough, because the DPM is just that poor. You're probably looking at around maximum of 2,000 DPM in this thing. But you're very unlikely to get that. You're more likely to have around 1900 DPM, and that's if you pen 6 shots in 1 minute, which is very unlikely. Do I recommend purchasing this tank other than the season pass? Probably not. I don't think it's one of those that you want to spend 14,000 gold on to pick it up, or however much it does cost in the store. But I certainly think if you grind out to level 100 on the season pass, it would definitely be worth you actually picking up the season pass for 2,000 gold. I don't think there's any reason why any player wouldn't just have the season pass. I think, you know, by the time you get to the end, which doesn't take too much if you just, you know, log on fairly regularly, complete the weekly challenges, you're more than likely going to be able to complete it before the end date. I know that, you know, the challenges don't offer that much XP, but they are done really quickly. So for more casual players that just drop on for a couple of games every day, you know, you're going to be able to get it, I think, so long as you play most days in that month. So yeah, I think this tank is definitely one to pick up from the season pass. Do I think Yeah, I probably would say if it comes on sale, it's worth picking up later on down the line after this season has finished. If you didn't manage to pick it up yourself, probably 7,000 gold, 6,000 gold, or whatever it's going to be, will definitely be worth the price. And it's a really fun, novel tank to play, especially if you like the T77 heavy like myself. This tank can be really, really good, and certainly is one of those that you can have really, really good games so long as the opportunity arises and your team aren't that bad that you get swarmed by a lot of enemy tanks, which tends to happen in an autoloader once they know you're out of shells, and that's the way you want to play against this tank. As soon as you know it's out of shells, it's got that massive reload and you can put in multiple shots over and over and over again and use your DPM to take this tank out before it reloads fully in that 30-second window minimum. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, I hope you like the video down below, and also subscribe for more tank reviews and tank gameplay, as well as some news videos and anything else relating to World of Tanks console. Then definitely do that. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next video. You can click some video links up on screen right now if you want to go to any of those, or you can check out the channel for more videos there. But other than that, I hope you have a good rest of your day once again, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.